The endless black of space stretched in all directions as Aaron's small exploration ship drifted through the wreckage of an abandoned station. His mission was simple. The Galactic Council had ordered him to chart this region and collect data on old ruins. Most explorers avoided this area because it was close to a dead star, a place where light itself seemed to vanish into silence. But Aaron was not afraid. He had always believed that ruins carried secrets, and secrets often led to discoveries that changed everything. His scanner beeped slowly, picking up faint power signatures. Aaron adjusted his course and steered his ship toward a massive structure floating in the void. The station was huge, with rings broken apart and towers snapped like dry bones. It looked ancient, built by a hand far more advanced than humanity's first spacefarers. The outer hull was marked with scars, as if great battles had raged around it. Aaron stared through his cockpit window, imagining the stories hidden inside. He docked his ship with care, attaching it to one of the still functional airlocks. The door groaned as it opened, releasing stale air into the chamber. Aaron stepped in, his boots making soft echoes against the metal floor. The corridors inside were covered with dust and strange symbols etched into the walls. Some of the markings glowed faintly, like stars that refused to die. Aaron activated his helmet light and moved deeper. His mind worked quickly. Whoever built this station had been powerful. If he could recover even fragments of their technology, humanity could learn much. But his instincts told him there was something else here, something hidden. Hours passed as he mapped the halls. Most rooms were empty, filled only with rusted consoles and shattered glass. Then his scanner beeped again, sharper this time. A faint energy source pulsed deep below the station. Aaron followed the signal, climbing down broken staircases and crossing long bridges that trembled under his weight. The air grew colder as he went lower. Soon, frost covered the walls and mist curled along the floor. At last, he entered a vast chamber. The room was circular, its ceiling high and decorated with carvings of stars and planets. In the center stood a crystal pod shaped like a tall coffin. Ice had grown thick around it, glowing faint blue under his helmet light. Aaron froze in place when he saw the figure inside. It was a woman. Her form was graceful, her hair flowing like frozen silk. Strange silver markings traced along her arms and face. She looked almost human, yet something about her features spoke of another world. Her eyes were closed, and her body lay still as if asleep. Aaron's breath caught in his throat. He had expected machines, not life. He stepped closer, wiping frost from the glass. The markings on the pod matched the symbols on the walls. This was not a machine. It was a tomb, or perhaps something greater. His scanner confirmed faint life signs within. She was not dead. She was sleeping. He stared for a long time, thoughts racing. Why had she been frozen here? Who had built this place, and why had they left her behind? The answers would not come easily, but he knew one thing. This discovery was beyond treasure. This was history itself, alive in front of him. Aaron placed his hand on the cold glass. "You are still here," he whispered, though no one could hear. "Frozen for who knows how long." The pod responded faintly. Lights flickered along its edges as if recognizing his presence. Aaron stepped back, heart pounding. His training told him not to touch unknown technology, but his curiosity burned stronger than caution. This was not just an artifact. This was someone who once lived, someone who might still live again. He activated his recorder, sending images and data back to his ship. The Galactic Council would want to know about this. But deep inside, Aaron hesitated. If he reported the discovery too soon, the council might seize the woman and lock her away for study. He could not explain why, but something inside told him she deserved better than to become an experiment. He examined the controls around the pod. The system was complex, but his translator slowly worked through the alien symbols. The words it translated chilled him. Royal Preservation Chamber. That meant she was important, perhaps a leader or a princess of the people who had built this place. Aaron stepped back and looked around the chamber again. The carvings of stars now seemed like witnesses. Whoever had placed her here must have hoped she would awaken in a future where her people could rise again. But her people were gone. The station was empty, silent, and forgotten. Only she remained. For a long moment, Aaron considered leaving. It would be safer. Yet he found himself unable to walk away. He felt a strange pull, as if fate itself had led him here. He had always believed that humans were explorers not because they sought riches but because they sought connection. Here was a chance for that connection, hidden in ice. His hands moved almost without thought as he set up equipment. He powered a portable generator and linked it to the pod. Slowly, the ancient machinery responded. Faint light spread across the crystal, and the frost began to thin. Aaron knew it would take time. She had been frozen for centuries, maybe longer. The process had to be slow, careful. He sat down on the cold floor, watching the pod hum softly. In the silence of the ruined station, he spoke to her though she could not hear. "I do not know your name," he said quietly. "I do not know your story. But you have waited here for so long. I will not leave you like this. If you can return, I will make sure you are not alone." His words echoed through the chamber. Aaron felt the weight of them settle inside him. For the first time, the ruins did not feel empty. They felt alive, as if they had been waiting for this moment. Outside, the dead star cast no light, but in that frozen chamber, a new story had begun. Aaron did not yet know what it meant, but he knew he had crossed a line. The discovery was no longer about ruins or technology. It was about her. The woman in the pod, the frozen princess of a forgotten empire, would change everything. And Aaron had just taken the first step toward awakening her. The chamber was silent except for the low hum of machines working. The pod glowed faintly as layers of frost melted away. Aaron sat close, his eyes fixed on the figure inside. Hours passed, but he did not move. His instincts told him this was not just another discovery. It was a meeting with history. The crystal surface cleared little by little. The woman's face became more visible. Her skin was smooth with faint silver lines that shimmered like delicate patterns. Her hair, once frozen stiff, now softened and floated gently as the temperature rose. Aaron could see the faint rise and fall of her chest. The scanner confirmed it. She was alive. Aaron leaned forward, speaking softly. "You are almost there. Just a little longer." The pod released a soft hiss. Lights blinked faster across its frame. Then, with a sharp sound, the crystal front cracked and slid open. Cold mist spilled out, covering the floor. Aaron stepped back as the figure inside stirred. Her fingers twitched first. Then her eyes opened slowly. They were a bright shade of silver blue, glowing faintly in the dim light. She blinked several times, trying to focus. Her gaze fell on Aaron, and she froze in silence, her body tense like a cornered animal. Aaron raised his hands calmly. "It is all right. You are safe." She struggled to rise, her movements weak after so many years of sleep. Aaron stepped forward to help, but stopped when she gave him a sharp look. Pride shone in her eyes even though her body trembled. She stood slowly, her hands gripping the edge of the pod. Her voice, soft but steady, filled the chamber. The words were strange, melodic, and unfamiliar. Aaron tapped his translator device on his wrist. It took a moment, then her words began to make sense. Who are you? Where is this place? What year is it? Her questions came quickly, but her voice carried authority. Aaron bowed his head slightly, sensing her importance. My name is Aaron. I am human. You have been asleep for a very long time. This station drifts near a dead star. Your people are gone. Her silver blue eyes narrowed. She shook her head. Gone? That cannot be. Aaron explained gently. He told her how he found the station, how it was empty, broken, and silent. He explained that humanity now explored the stars where once her empire might have ruled. She listened without moving, her face calm but her hands clenched tightly. At last, she spoke with a heavy voice. I am Myra, daughter of the House of Illyria, princess of the Celian Empire. My father placed me in the chamber to escape the war. He promised I would wake when the empire rose again. Her gaze dropped to the floor. But there is no empire left, is there? Aaron shook his head. No, I am sorry. Your people are gone. I searched the station. There is nothing left but ruins. Silence filled the room. Myra closed her eyes, taking in the truth. Her breathing steadied, but sorrow showed in her expression. She was not only waking from sleep. She was waking to a world where everything she once knew no longer existed. Aaron wanted to comfort her but did not know how. He sat down nearby, giving her space. After a while, he said, You are not alone anymore. You survived. That means something. Myra studied him, her eyes sharp. Why did you wake me? What do you seek from me? Aaron looked at her honestly. I do not seek treasure or power. I could have left you frozen, but I did not. I woke you because no one deserves to be forgotten. If you are alive, then your story is not finished. Her gaze softened slightly. She took a slow breath and stepped closer. Your people, these humans. Are they strong? Aaron smiled faintly. We are not the most advanced, but we do not give up. We survived wars, storms, and even the cold silence of space. That is why we are here now. Myra tilted her head, curious. Your words remind me of my father. He said strength does not come from machines or weapons but from will. Perhaps he was right. She moved away from the pod, testing her balance. Though weak, she held herself with grace, like someone born to command. Aaron offered her a ration pack from his bag. She examined it carefully before tasting it. Her face showed confusion at the simple flavor, but she accepted it. As they sat together, Myra began to ask questions. She wanted to know about Earth, about human history, about the stars as they were now. Aaron explained as best he could, painting a picture of a galaxy very different from her memories. She listened closely, her eyes sometimes distant as she compared his words with the world she once knew. When Aaron asked about her empire, Myra hesitated. At last, she said, the Celian Empire was vast. We ruled many worlds, but pride made us blind. Enemies rose, and war consumed us. My father believed that one day, someone would find me and I could help rebuild. But now I see there is nothing to rebuild. Her voice trembled slightly, but she did not cry. Her strength impressed Aaron. She had lost everything, yet she still stood tall. The chamber grew quiet again. The faint hum of machines was the only sound. Aaron studied her face and saw not just sadness but determination. He realized she was not a relic. She was alive, thinking, choosing. She was someone who could shape the future. Finally, Myro looked at him. If my people are gone, then I must learn to live among yours. But I need a guide. You have shown me kindness. Will you help me understand this new age? Aaron nodded without hesitation. Yes. I will help you. You are not alone. For the first time, Myra's lips curved into a small smile. It was faint but real. In that moment, the frozen princess of a lost empire began her journey not as a relic of the past but as a soul ready to walk into the future. Aaron felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had not just discovered an ancient being. He had found a companion for the unknown path ahead. As they prepared to leave the chamber, Myra glanced back at the pod where she had slept for centuries. Her eyes lingered on it, then she turned away. Her past was sealed there, but her future walked beside her now. The station groaned as if sighing in relief. The stars outside remained silent, but within that forgotten ruin, two lives had crossed, and a new story had begun. The journey back to Aaron's ship was quiet but heavy with meaning. Myra walked slowly beside him, still weak from her long sleep. Every sound in the abandoned station echoed like a reminder of all she had lost. Yet her steps were steady. She did not stumble. Aaron admired her strength. Even without an empire, she carried herself with the dignity of someone born to lead. When they entered his small exploration ship, Myra paused at the doorway. Her silver blue eyes scanned the cabin. The ship was nothing like the elegant designs of her empire. The walls were plain, the controls simple, and the hum of the engine rough compared to the smooth grace of her people's machines. Still, she studied it with quiet curiosity. "This is your vessel?" she asked. Aaron nodded. "Yes. She is small, but she keeps me safe. I call her Horizon." Myra stepped inside and touched the wall gently, as if feeling its spirit. "It is humble, yet it breathes with life. I see why you trust it." Her words made Aaron smile. To him, it was just a work ship, but she spoke of it as if it were a living companion. Already, their ways of seeing the world were different. They strapped in as the ship undocked. The engines roared, shaking the cabin. Myra flinched at the sound but did not panic. She gripped the armrest tightly and looked out the viewport as the ruined station grew smaller. For the first time, she saw the galaxy as it was now. Stars burned bright, scattered across the endless black. Her eyes widened. So much has changed. The constellations are not as I remember. Time has carried me farther than I dreamed. Aaron glanced at her. "You will see more soon. I will take you to a human colony. There you can rest and learn." Myra did not answer at once. Her gaze stayed fixed on the stars. At last, she whispered, "My father told me that stars are eternal. Yet even they change. Perhaps I should not be afraid of change either." Days passed as the ship traveled. In that time, Myra began to learn about Aaron's world. He showed her recordings of earth-blue oceans, green forests, crowded cities, and mountains capped with snow. Myra watched in silence, her face calm but her eyes shining with wonder. "Your world is beautiful," she said one evening. "It is alive in a way my home was not. We built great towers and spread across many planets, but sometimes I think we forgot how to love the soil beneath our feet. Aaron chuckled. Humans argue a lot, and we make mistakes, but Earth reminds us we are part of something bigger. We fight for it, even when it is hard. Myra turned to him. Perhaps that is why you survived where we did not. Not all moments were easy. Myra sometimes struggled with human customs. She was used to giving commands and being obeyed. When Aaron asked her to help with simple ship tasks, she looked at him in surprise. Where I come from, princesses do not repair machines, she said firmly. Aaron grinned. Where I come from, everyone has to do their part. Even explorers clean their own filters. Myra frowned but soon tried. Her movements were clumsy, and she dropped a tool more than once. Yet Aaron noticed she never gave up. Pride would not let her fail. When she finally managed to seal a loose panel, she lifted her chin high and said, "It is done." Aaron laughed softly. See? You are already learning to be human. Myra's lips curved into the faintest smile. Perhaps. Or perhaps you are learning to think like a princess. Their conversations grew longer. Aaron told her about human art, music, and stories. Myra listened with keen interest, sometimes asking him to repeat certain parts so she could memorize them. In return, she shared tales of her empire. She spoke of vast halls of crystal, starships shaped like flowing rivers, and voices that could sing across worlds. One night, as they drifted through a quiet sector of space, she said, "My people believed that memory gives life. As long as someone remembers, nothing is truly lost. Will you remember the Celian Empire, Aaron?" Aaron looked at her seriously. "I will. And if you share your stories, others will remember too. Then your people will live on in more than just ruins." Her eyes softened. For the first time since awakening, she seemed at peace. When the horizon finally approached a human colony, Myra grew restless. She watched the planet grow larger in the viewport. Unlike her empire's polished cities, this colony was rugged, with domes and towers built on rocky land. Ships came and went in steady streams, their designs plain but sturdy. "This is where your people live?" she asked. Aaron nodded. "Yes. It is not perfect, but it is home for many. You will see how we survive and grow." As they landed, Myra straightened her posture. Her clothing was still the ceremonial garment from her pod, silver fabric that shimmered faintly. She looked like royalty stepping into a new world. Aaron worried she might draw too much attention, but he also knew he could not ask her to hide who she was. The colony was busy with workers, merchants, and families moving through the streets. People stared at Myra, whispering to one another. She noticed but did not lower her gaze. Instead, she walked with calm grace, every step showing her noble bearing. Aaron guided her through the colony, explaining each site. Myra listened, but he could see the conflict in her eyes. She admired the energy of humans, their determination to build in harsh places. Yet she also felt the weight of being different. Children pointed at her silver markings, and adults gave her cautious looks. That evening, in the quiet of their guest quarters, Myra spoke. "They see me as strange. I am not one of them." Aaron shook his head. "They see you as new. It takes time for people to understand what they do not know. You are not alone in this. I will stand with you." Her eyes searched his face. "You truly believe I can belong here?" Aaron nodded firmly. "Yes. Not as a princess of the past, but as Myra, who chooses her own path." For a long moment, Myra was silent. Then she whispered, "Perhaps you are right. If I cannot return to what was, then I must walk forward. But I will need your guidance." Aaron smiled. "Then you have it." As the lights of the colony glowed outside their window, Myra looked out at the new world before her. She still carried sorrow for all that was lost, but in her heart, a seed of hope began to grow. The divide between her world and his was wide, but step by step, they would cross it together. The colony settled into its usual rhythm as ships came and went, miners returned with loads of ore, and merchants filled the streets with noise. For Myra, every day felt like a test. She learned human words faster now, spoke with traders, and even helped children who asked about her silver markings. Yet beneath her calm face, she struggled. The weight of her past never left her, and at night she often gazed at the stars, whispering names of worlds that no longer existed. Aaron noticed her quiet sorrow, but he also saw her strength. She asked questions about human councils, about their fleets, about their history of wars. Aaron answered honestly, sometimes with pride and sometimes with shame. Humanity had survived much, but not without mistakes. Myra listened carefully, storing each answer like a treasure. Then one morning, as the colony prepared for a festival, alarms blared across the streets. Red lights flashed, and loudspeakers shouted warnings. Aaron rushed outside, with Myra close behind. The sky above the colony darkened as ships appeared from orbit. They were not human ships. Their shapes were sharp, like blades of shadow, and their engines glowed with a cold blue fire. Aaron's blood ran cold. He recognized the designs from the ruins where he had found Myra. "These are from your people," he said in shock. Myra's face went pale. "War drones," she whispered. "Machines of the Empire. They were programmed to serve the royal line. My awakening must have triggered them." The drones descended with deadly precision. Some were sleek fighters, while others were heavy constructs bristling with weapons. The colony's defense cannons opened fire, filling the sky with streaks of light. Explosions shook the ground. Civilians ran for cover as soldiers scrambled to form lines. Aaron grabbed Myra's arm. "We need to get you to safety." She pulled away, her eyes blazing with determination. "No. They are here because of me. If I run, they will not stop. I must face them." Her voice carried such strength that Aaron hesitated. He wanted to protect her, but he also knew she was right. The drones had come for their princess. If she hid, they would tear the colony apart to find her. Together, they rushed to the command center, where human officers argued over tactics. The commander, a stern woman named Vera, looked up as they entered. "Aaron, what have you brought us? These ships are not like any I have seen." Myra stepped forward before Aaron could speak. "They are from my world. I am Myra of the Celian Empire. These machines follow ancient orders. They believe I must lead them, but I will not. I stand with humanity." The room went silent. Soldiers stared at her, uncertain whether to believe her words. Finally, Commander Vera said, "If that is true, then you must help us stop them. We cannot hold the colony for long." Myra nodded. "I know their patterns. They will target your power grids first. Without power, your weapons will fail. We must protect the generators." Her confidence surprised even Aaron. Though she had slept for centuries, she spoke with the voice of a leader. The soldiers followed her orders, repositioning defenses. Aaron stayed by her side, translating when needed. The first wave of drones struck the colony's outer walls. Cannons thundered, blasting metal apart. Still, more drones swarmed through the smoke. They moved with ruthless logic, their cold eyes glowing blue. Myra watched their formations and pointed quickly. There, flank them on the left. They always leave a gap to recharge their shields. Her warning saved a squad of soldiers, who managed to destroy 3 drones at once. Cheers rose, but Myra did not smile. She knew more would come. As the battle raged, Myra and Aaron hurried to the generators. Dozens of drones had already landed there, cutting through defenses. The air shook with explosions and the hiss of plasma fire. Aaron fired his rifle, hitting one drone square in the core. It collapsed in sparks. Myra picked up a fallen soldier's weapon and, though untrained, aimed steadily. Her shot struck true, guided by sharp instinct. Still, the drones pressed forward. For every one destroyed, another arrived. Myra clenched her teeth. They will not stop. They will fight until I surrender. Aaron turned to her, his face hard. Then we give them something else to fight for. Not your surrender, but your choice. She met his eyes and understood. She raised her voice, shouting in the ancient tongue of her people. Her words rang across the battlefield, carried by the translator into human speech. I am Myra of Illyria. I was once your princess, but I will not lead you. I choose a new path. Stand down, or be broken. The drones hesitated. For the first time, their formations wavered. Some paused mid-strike, as if confused. But then their programming took hold again. They surged forward with even greater fury. Myra's heart sank. They no longer obey. The years have twisted their code. They serve only war. Aaron gripped her shoulder. Then we finish this. Together. They fought side by side as soldiers rallied around them. Explosions lit the night sky, and smoke choked the air. Piece by piece, the colony's defenses held. The people refused to break, and Myra stood at their front, refusing to be claimed by ghosts of her past. At last, after hours of fire and blood, the final drone collapsed in sparks. The battlefield fell silent except for the crackle of flames. The colony still stood, battered but alive. Soldiers raised their weapons in victory, cheering. Myra lowered her rifle slowly. Her body shook from exhaustion, but her spirit burned bright. She looked at Aaron, who was covered in dust and sweat but still standing strong. Your people are brave, she said softly. They fought not because they were ordered, but because they chose to. Aaron gave a tired smile. That is what it means to be human. Commander Vera approached, her face stern but respectful. Princess Myra, today you proved yourself. You are not just a relic of the past. You are one of us now. Myra bowed her head slightly. I thank you. But the war is not finished. Those drones were only the beginning. Somewhere out there, more may wait. And they will not stop until I decide who I am. Her words hung heavy in the smoky air. She had chosen not to rule the drones, not to rebuild her fallen empire. But that choice meant war with machines built to serve her forever. Aaron looked at her and saw not a frozen princess but a leader of tomorrow. Whatever battles lay ahead, he knew they would face them together. Above them, the stars shone cold and distant, watching silently as the past and the present collided. The colony was still recovering from the battle when a sleek council ship descended through the atmosphere. Its hull gleamed silver, marked with the emblem of the Galactic Council. The colony's people stopped their work to stare as the vessel landed near the command center. Soldiers stood ready, though the air carried no threat. This was not an invasion. It was a summons. Aaron knew what it meant the moment he saw the ship. Word had spread fast. The council had learned of Myra's awakening and of the battle against the war drones. They would not ignore something so dangerous. Inside the command hall, the council's envoys appeared. They were 3 in number, dressed in long robes that shimmered with threads of light. Their faces were stern, their eyes sharp. The leader, an elder named Sauron, stepped forward. His voice was calm but heavy with authority. Aaron, explorer of the council. You stand before us having discovered a survivor of a fallen empire. This woman is Myra, Princess of Illyria. Her awakening has already drawn machines of war against a human colony. Do you understand the risk you have placed upon us all? Aaron stood straight. I understand. But without Myra's guidance, we would not have survived. She fought to protect this colony. She is not our enemy. Sauron's eyes shifted to Myra. She stood tall in her silver garments, her face calm though her heart raced. The room felt like a battlefield of words. Princess Myra, Sauron said slowly, your empire once spread fear across the stars. The machines that serve you nearly destroyed this colony. We cannot allow such a force to remain uncontrolled. By right of survival, the Council demands that you place yourself under our protection. You will be studied, guarded, and restricted until we are certain you pose no danger. The hall grew tense. Soldiers exchanged uneasy looks. Myra's silver-blue eyes narrowed, but her voice remained steady. I am no one's prisoner. I will not be studied like a relic. I am alive, and I will choose my own path. Sauron frowned. Your words are bold, but you must understand our fear. You carry the blood of a fallen throne. To some, you are a symbol of power. To others, a threat to peace. We cannot risk the galaxy being torn apart because of your existence. Aaron stepped forward quickly. She is not a weapon. She is a person. She fought beside us when she could have surrendered to the drones. She chose humanity, not empire. Myra turned her gaze toward Aaron. His voice carried not just defense but faith, as if he truly believed in her beyond any doubt. That faith gave her strength. Sauron's eyes softened, but only slightly. Perhaps she has shown loyalty. But what of tomorrow? Will she stand with humanity, or will she seek to rebuild her lost empire? That is the choice she must make now. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Myra. Her heart pounded as she faced the question she had been avoiding since her awakening. The memory of her father's words returned. He had placed her in the preservation chamber so she could lead their people again. Yet when she looked out at the world now, there was no empire to rule. There were only ruins, machines twisted by time, and memories buried under silence. She thought of the colony's people, who had fought not because they were ordered but because they believed in survival. She thought of Aaron, who had risked everything to free her, not for power but for life. And she thought of the drones, who had demanded her leadership but could only obey blindly. Slowly, Myra raised her head. Her voice carried through the hall, firm and clear. I was once a princess of Illyria. That empire is gone. I will not rebuild it, nor will I serve machines that mistake memory for life. My loyalty is to the living, not the dead. My loyalty is to humanity, to Aaron, and to the future we will build together. Gasps filled the hall. Sauron studied her carefully, searching for weakness. At last, he spoke. Your words are clear. But loyalty is not declared in one moment. It is proven with time. If you choose to live among humans, then you must live as one of them. No throne, no crown, no special command. Will you accept that? Myra's eyes glowed with quiet strength. Yes. I will not live as a symbol of the past. I will live as Myra, who walks forward. Aaron felt a weight lift from his chest. For the first time, Myra had spoken not as a princess bound by duty but as herself, free to choose. Sauron turned to his fellow envoys, who whispered among themselves. After a long pause, he nodded. Very well. The council will not seize you. But understand this, your presence is watched. If your loyalty falters, we will act. Myra bowed her head slightly. I understand. The envoys departed, leaving the hall heavy with silence. Soldiers murmured to one another, uncertain what the future would bring. Some looked at Myra with respect, others with caution. Aaron stepped close to her. You chose well. They may not trust you fully, but you gave them no reason to take you as a prisoner. Myra looked at him, her expression softer now. I did not make the choice for them. I made it for myself. I cannot return to who I was. But perhaps I can become something new. That night, the colony held a quiet gathering. Survivors of the battle lit lanterns for those they had lost. Myra stood among them, holding a lantern of her own. For the first time, she was not apart from the people but part of them. When she released her lantern into the sky, she whispered not a name from her past but a wish for the future. Aaron stood beside her. You know this will not be easy. The council will watch you, and the drones may come again. Myra nodded. I know. But I am ready. I will not hide. I will fight for this future, not because I must, but because I choose to. The lanterns rose higher, glowing against the night sky. The colony's people looked up with hope. Myra looked too, and for the first time since awakening, she felt not like a relic of the past but like a part of tomorrow. Aaron glanced at her and thought she had never looked stronger. The princess frozen for centuries was now more than a survivor. She was a symbol of choice, of freedom, and of the bond between her and humanity. And though the council's warning still lingered, Aaron believed that together, they would face whatever came next. The warning came at dawn. A scout ship sent from the edge of the system rushed back with grim news. The war drones had awakened in greater numbers. Their signals spread like a storm across space, and they were moving toward the colony. This time, it was not a small attack force. It was an army. Aaron stood in the command hall, staring at the map of incoming threats. Dozens of red markers blinked on the screen. The drones were coming fast, and their target was clear. They wanted Myra. The colony leaders panicked. Some shouted that they should surrender Myra to save themselves. Others demanded they evacuate. Aaron raised his hand, silencing the room. Listen. Running will not save us. These drones will not stop at Myra. They will keep coming until nothing human is left. We must fight, and this time, we fight together. The people hesitated, but Myra stepped forward. Her voice was steady, though her eyes held the weight of centuries. The drones believe I am their queen. They obey the old codes of my empire. But I will not lead them. I will face them. And I will stand with humanity, not above it. Her words lit a spark among the crowd. Fear did not vanish, but hope grew in its place. They began to prepare. Soldiers gathered weapons. Engineers reinforced shields. Farmers and workers carried supplies. The entire colony became one united force. Myra joined the work. She shared knowledge of her empire's machines, helping the engineers understand the drones' patterns. She taught them where the drones were weak, how their power cores could be overloaded, and how their targeting systems could be disrupted. Aaron led the defense lines. He set traps, positioned ships, and gave every person a role to play. He moved among them, giving encouragement. No one would fight alone. When night fell, the first wave arrived. The sky lit up with burning streaks as drone ships entered the atmosphere. Their engines roared like thunder. The colony's defenses activated, firing beams of light into the dark. Explosions shook the ground. The battle began. Aaron commanded from the front. His voice carried through the comms. Hold the line. Remember what you fight for. This is our home. The drones descended like a swarm of steel insects, their metal bodies glinting in the fire. They struck with brutal precision, blasting shields and tearing through walls. But the colonists fought back fiercely. Every man and woman defended their ground. Myra stood at the control tower, her hands on an ancient console Aaron had recovered from the old station. She had spent days repairing it, and now she used it to send counter signals into the swarm. Her voice, calm but commanding, echoed through the machines. I am Myra of Illyria. Your queen is gone. I release you from her chains. Obey no throne. Choose silence. Some of the drones faltered. Their movements slowed, confused by her command. But many resisted, too deeply programmed to abandon their mission. The strongest ones pushed forward, targeting the control tower. Aaron saw the danger. They are going for Myra. Cover her position. He led a squad straight into the heart of the swarm. Laser fire lit the battlefield. Aaron fought with determination, his armor scorched, his weapon glowing red from heat. He cut through the machines, his body aching, but his spirit unbroken. The drones pressed harder. One giant war drone, larger than the rest, descended from the sky. Its armor was black as night, and its eyes glowed red. It was a commander unit, built to lead armies. Its voice boomed through the colony's speakers. Princess Myra. The throne awaits. Surrender, and humanity will be spared. Myra's face hardened. She activated the console again. No. The throne is ash. I am not your queen. Your war ends here. The commander drone roared and unleashed a blast that shook the colony. Buildings crumbled. Shields flickered. Soldiers stumbled. The battle seemed ready to collapse. But Myra did not falter. She focused all her strength into the console, sending waves of code into the swarm. The machines shook, sparks flying from their bodies. Some fell, lifeless. Others turned on each other, confused. Aaron seized the moment. Now. Push forward. He and the soldiers charged, striking the drones while they faltered. Explosions filled the air. The swarm broke apart, piece by piece. Still, the commander drone remained. It landed in the center of the colony, towering over Aaron. Its claws glowed with energy, and its voice thundered. You cannot stop destiny. The Empire will rise again. Aaron raised his weapon, but he knew he could not defeat it alone. Myra saw him from the tower and rushed down to the battlefield. She carried no weapon, only the courage of her choice. She stood beside Aaron, looking up at the towering machine. Her voice rang out, steady and clear. I choose humanity. I choose freedom. And I choose him. The words carried through the machines, stronger than any command. The commander drone trembled, its programming caught between loyalty and confusion. Myra raised her hand toward Aaron. Together, they fired the final blast at its core. The explosion shook the ground, and the commander collapsed in flames. The remaining drones, leaderless and broken, fell one by one. Silence spread across the battlefield. The colony stood, battered but alive. Survivors raised their voices in victory. For the first time, they believed the war was truly ending. Aaron looked at Myra. Her face was tired, her body weak, but her eyes shone with strength. "You saved us," he said softly. Myra shook her head. "No. We saved each other." The people gathered around them, cheering their names. Myra was no longer just a princess of a dead empire. She was a defender of the living. Aaron was no longer just an explorer. He was the leader who stood unshaken. That night, the colony lit fires in the square. Songs were sung, food was shared, and laughter echoed through the ruins. It was not just a celebration of survival. It was a celebration of unity. Myra sat beside Aaron, watching the stars. For centuries, she had slept in silence. Now she was awake, alive, and free. She no longer belonged to the past. She belonged to tomorrow. Aaron looked at her and knew the fight was not over. More challenges would come. But whatever happened, they would face it together. The battle was over. The silence of space felt almost unreal after the storm of fire and light that had raged only hours before. Darren stood near the wide viewing glass of his ship, watching the remains of the enemy fleet drift into the void. Many of those ships had hunted them, desperate to capture Alira and use her name for power. Now those ships were nothing but broken shadows in the endless dark. Behind him, Alira walked slowly, her long silver hair catching the glow of the ship's lights. Her steps were steady, but her heart carried the weight of all she had lost. The memories of her people, her family, and her kingdom would never leave her. Yet as she stood beside Darren, she felt something she had thought was gone forever. Hope. Darren looked at her and spoke in a calm voice. "It is over. They cannot harm you now." Alira nodded, her eyes still watching the wreckage. "It is over for them, but not for me. My world is gone, Darren. The kingdom I was born to protect is dust. I am the last of my line, and even victory feels like a wound." Darren placed his hand gently on hers. His voice was firm, but warm. "You are not alone anymore. You are here, and you are alive. That means there is still a future. Maybe not the one you imagined long ago, but one that can still be built." For a long moment, Alira was silent. She looked at him, studying his eyes. She had seen his bravery in battle, his kindness in quiet hours, and his steady heart in every choice he made. He was not a prince, not a soldier of her people, not even of her world. Yet he had given her something no crown or throne could offer. A reason to live again. They left the viewing deck and moved to the smaller hall of the ship where their crew waited. The crew, though weary, greeted Alira with smiles. They had fought not only for survival but also for her freedom. She thanked each one with simple words that carried deep meaning. Though she had once been a princess, she now spoke as one among equals. In the days that followed, the ship traveled back toward human space. Darren guided the vessel, while Alira spent her time learning more about Earth and its people. She asked questions about the blue oceans, the wide green forests, the towering cities, and the long history of humanity. Every answer seemed to draw her closer, not only to Darren but to the idea of making Earth her home. One evening, as the ship glided silently through the stars, Darren invited Alira to the observation deck again. This time, he carried no words of war, only thoughts of the future. "Alira," he began, his voice quieter than before. "I know you have lost much. I know no one can replace your family or your people. But in all this time, I have learned something. I do not only want to protect you. I want to share my life with you. If you will have me, I would ask you to be my wife." Alira's breath caught. For a moment, she did not speak. She thought of her father's lessons, her mother's voice, the halls of her lost palace. Then she looked at Darren. He was not asking for power, not asking for a crown, not asking for a throne. He was asking only for her heart. Her voice was soft, but steady. "You woke me from endless sleep. You gave me safety when I was hunted. You gave me hope when I had none. I would be honored to be your wife." Darren smiled, and though the stars burned outside the glass, none shone brighter than the joy in his eyes. When the ship reached Earth weeks later, the news spread quickly. The story of the alien princess who had survived across centuries and the human who had brought her back to life filled every corner of human space. Some were curious, some doubtful, but many celebrated. For the first time, humanity saw not just a visitor from beyond the stars but a symbol of unity between two worlds. The wedding was small at first. It was held on a quiet hill overlooking a wide lake near Darren's home city. The air was fresh, the sky clear, and the sound of water moved gently against the shore. The crew stood with them, and a few leaders came to witness the moment. Alira wore a simple dress made of white fabric that shimmered faintly, while Darren stood tall in plain but proud clothing. As the vows were spoken, Alira felt the weight of the past lift slowly from her shoulders. She was no longer only the last princess of a lost kingdom. She was now a woman stepping into a new life, one built not on sorrow but on love. When Darren and Alira took each other's hands, the ceremony ended not with shouts or grand music but with quiet smiles and the beating of two hearts that had found one another across the vastness of space. In the months that followed, Alira became more than a bride. She worked beside Darren, speaking with leaders and explorers, building trust between humanity and the scattered survivors of her people who had begun to appear after centuries of hiding. Her voice carried respect, her presence carried dignity, and her heart carried the promise of peace. Darren stood always at her side, guiding ships, aiding explorers, and showing the galaxy what humanity could achieve when joined with others. Together, they became a symbol not of war but of hope. One night, long after the ceremonies and meetings, they sat again on the hill by the lake. The stars above shone like silver fire, and the water reflected their light. Alira leaned against Darren and whispered, "My kingdom is gone, but I have found something greater. With you, I have found a home." Darren placed his arm around her and answered, "And with you, I have found a future." The wind moved gently through the grass, and the stars seemed endless. The princess who had once slept in frozen silence and the human who had awakened her now faced the universe not as strangers, but as husband and wife. Their story was only beginning, but it would be written not in sorrow, but in courage, love, and hope for all who followed.